वेलकम टू ज्ञान की पाठशाला। ज्ञान की पाठशाला में आप सभी का स्वागत है।
Introduction. What can you see in this picture?
We can see a dog and its puppy.
Correct. Can the seeds in this picture produce the corresponding mango plant?
No. Mango plant can only be produced from mango tree.
You're right. Who looks similar to your father? You or your cousin?
I will look more similar to my father.
Do you know what the reason behind this similarity is?
No.
This phenomenon of production of similar offsprings depends on the inheritance of various genes. Objectives. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand Mendel's law of inheritance, understand inheritance pattern of one gene, identify various laws of inheritance, understand Punnett square and its calculation, identify a test cross. Mendelism. Mendel is known as the father of genetics. He experimented on 7 varieties of peas, Pisum sativum. His work was not accepted because of certain reasons initially, but in 1900, his work was rediscovered by Hugo de Vries, Carl Correns, and Erich von Skammerk.
7 traits of Pisum sativum. The 7 pairs of contrasting characters of Pisum sativum chosen by Mendel for his experiment. Why Pisum sativum?
Mendel chose pea plant for his experiment for the following reasons. Many varieties of pea plant were available with alternative forms for traits. Pea plants are self-pollinating, so pure lines can be easily obtained. Pea plants can be easily grown. Pea plants have a short lifespan. Its flowers are bisexual. Stages of Mendel's experiments. Mendel's experiments were carried out in 3 stages. True breeding, to find out whether or not the 7 characters noted by him passed on from parents to offsprings. Mendel raised seeds by self-pollination from each of 7 types of plants. Mendel named each of these as pure character. Hybridization of pure plants. Cross-pollination of 2 different varieties of plants produced hybrid plants constituting F1 generation. Self-pollination in hybrids. Each F1 offspring was self-pollinated to produce F2 generation. Inheritance of one gene. Monohybrid cross between tall and dwarf varieties of pea plants is as follows. Results of monohybrid cross. Gene. Mendel observed that some stable factor was passed down unchanged from parents to offsprings. These factors are known as genes. Allele. Genes which code for a pair of contrasting traits are known as alleles. Homozygous organism. Organisms with same pairs of allele. Heterozygous organisms. Organisms with different pairs of allele.
Results of monohybrid cross.
Dominant gene, the allele which is expressed. Recessive gene, the gene which is not expressed or expressed in the absence of a dominant gene. Genotype, genetic constitution for concerned expression of a character. Phenotype, the apparent expression seen due to combination of 2 genes. Segregation of characteristics. When gametes are produced by meiosis, the alleles of parental pair segregate and only one allele is transmitted to a gamete. This segregation of allele is a random process, and so there is a 50% chance of a gamete containing either allele. Punnett square. Punnett square is a graphical representation to calculate the probability of all possible genotypes of offsprings in a genetic cross. For example, TT male cross TT female is an internal F1 cross. Place one set of alleles from one parent on top, the other set from the other parent on the side to form a Punnett square as follows. Calculating Punnett square. Determine the allelic composition of the progeny merely by adding the alleles together as shown in the following example. Such a cross would result in following F2 generation. 3 tall plants and 1 dwarf plant, 3:1 phenotypic ratio. 1 homozygous tall, 2 heterozygous tall, and 1 homozygous dwarf plant, 1:2:1 genotypic ratio. Test cross. The genotype of a progeny can be found by a progeny with its breeding recessive type. Such a cross is known as test cross. For example, a phenotype of tall plant can have a genotype TT or T small t. Its genotype can be determined in the following manner. In the first case, all the plants are tall, thus the genotype of the test plant is TT. In the second case, tall and dwarf plants are produced in the ratio of 1:1. Thus, genotype of test plant is T small t. Laws of inheritance. Mendel's principles or laws of inheritance are: Law of dominance. This law states that one factor in a pair expresses itself and prevents expression of the other in F1 generation. Law of segregation. This law states that the factors of each character segregate during gamete formation so that each gamete receives only one factor and is always pure. The two factors and traits occur with equal frequency in male and female gametes. Incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple alleles. Incomplete dominance. It occurs when neither of the alleles for a certain trait is dominant. Thus, an intermediate expression is found in heterozygous individuals. Codominance. This occurs when both the alleles for a trait are dominant and both are expressed in heterozygous individual. Such a phenomenon can be observed with multiple alleles. Multiple alleles. This refers to the presence of 3 alleles for one trait. Example: human blood has 3 alleles, A, B, O. Dihybrid cross. A cross between 2 organisms considering 2 genes at different loci at the same time is called a dihybrid cross as shown in the diagram. Result of dihybrid cross. A dihybrid cross produces 4 types of plants in F2 generation in the phenotypic ratio 9:3:3:1. 2 new combinations are produced, round green and wrinkled yellow. Inheritance of one character was independent of the inheritance of other character. Law of independent assortment.
Law of independent assortment. Factors or alleles of different characters located in different pairs of homologous chromosomes are independent of one another in their segregation during gamete formation and their coming together into the offspring by fertilization.
Did you know the application of Mendel's laws to the study of plants' genes are applied to produce dedicated energy crops critical for second-generation biofuels such as varieties of soybean products? Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Mendel was the first to study this phenomenon systematically. Mendel proposed that the factors later named as genes regulating the characters are found in pairs known as alleles. He observed that the expression of the characters in the offspring follow a definite pattern in different first generations, F1, second, F2, and so on. The recessive characters are only expressed in homozygous conditions. Phenotypic ratio expressed in dihybrid cross is 9:3:3:1. 3 laws of inheritance are proposed: law of dominance, segregation, and independent assortment. Human blood group has 3 alleles for one trait, A, B, O. Incomplete dominance occurs when neither of the alleles for a certain trait is dominant.